So Dijonai Carrington has spoken again on Twitter. Not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan when it comes to the Caitlin Clark fans, and that's for sure. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 20.1k by the end of the day, and right now we are only 6 off. So, what is the big thing? I'm not even going to show the Dijonai Carrington tweet, but it is one of the things I do want to talk about in the WNBA. But it is kind of one of those things where I'm like, the timing of it was odd what she tweets, but she just tweets whatever the hell is on her mind. So if you don't know, Caitlin Clark, she hit Caitlin Clark, blatant foul, and then she did like this flop gesture. Caitlin Clark did the same thing to Julie Van Loo, and there was uproar when Carrington did it. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I genuinely was like, I watched that Carrington thing, and I was just like, when it happened, I'm like, this is the most nothing thing ever. I'm like, oh my god. Like, thinking of players flopping and making a gesture towards him, it is the most nothing thing I have ever seen. And people made a big deal out of it. Like, that's one of, like, there are some situations where you're like, this is where you just lose me. This is where you lose me when when people are talking about this type of stuff. Like, the getting hit a couple of times in the head, the Kennedy Carter thing, if you want to say people targeting Caitlin Clark and use those as examples, yeah, cool. They were very much intentional. Some of them. Not the Angel Reese getting hit in the head, by the way. There's been other times she's been hit hard. But, yeah, the Carrington situation is where people lost me. I'm like, how are you guys... Do you guys not understand that there's people just being competitive? And again, like, that was just one that I never understood. But again, with Carrington, got called every single name under the sun for this. And again, I will say, the Caitlin Crazies are crazy. The Caitlin Crazies are crazy. Just like the Reese Crazies are crazy. I'm not going to lie. The Reese Crazies are crazy. Like, I made an entire video earlier today talking about how I think Angel Reese is going to be the Rookie of the Year. I think she's the best rebounder in WNBA. But also, yeah, the streak doesn't count. And apparently I'm a racist. On one side, I am a racist who is giving backhanded compliments. How is she's the best rebounder the WNBA has ever seen? A backhanded compliment. Her double-double streak is fabricated, is fake. That is a fact. That is a fact. That the double-double streak is fake. It is also a fact she might be the greatest rebounder the league has ever seen. That is also a fact. Caitlin, like, that's... And then I'm also apparently trying to play defense when I say Caitlin Clark can't play defense. Because she can't play defense. And people are saying, go and pick a side. Why should I pick a side? I talk about basketball. And I'm seeing the crazies on both sides. And I could only imagine how bad it is for Carrington. Like, she listed off the things that she's been called, she's been told, and the amount of racist abuse that she's gotten is just not good at all. And even, like, there's one, basically an Angel Reese fan page. And it's one of, like, it's the Chicago Bull one. We all know the two Angel Reese fan pages. It's the Chicago Bulls one. And I was just talking to that guy, and I'm like, how bad is it? And he was just like, oh yeah, I got 100 death threats a day. So I'm like, Jesus. Talking about the sport of basketball. Like, when there is fanatics, when there's rivalries, it's always a good thing when everything is purely when everything's purely about basketball, it's always fine. But when things completely cross a line, it's not good in any scenario. It's not good in any scenario. And again, like, it doesn't help. Things don't help with this scenario. Because, like, the worst part is that all the Caitlin crazies that are going after someone like Carrington don't realize that Carrington is actually the literal perfect player to have for the Fever. Like, if the Caitlin crazies didn't exist, with her girlfriend playing on the Fever, and the fact that her playstyle and Caitlin Clark's playstyle complementing each other, as well as any two players' playstyles I've seen, that she fixes a lot of the Fever's problems, just individually fixes a lot of their problems, and the team could be looking at potentially being in the running for one of the most coveted free agents in the entire WNBA. But Ironically, the reason why the Fever are not going to get the perfect running mate for Caitlin Clark, or have no chance at that, because I think they would be with Nalissa Smith playing there, with her girlfriend playing on the Fever, and the fact that, look, players are obviously going to see where they fit in. Like, Carrington fits in with Alyssa Thomas. She really fits in with Caitlin Clark. And the fact is that she could get a max contract from the Fever easily. She's that level of a player. Should have been an all-star this year. But the fact is that that's never going to happen. And you can even see when it comes to Twitter, like, her saying, and she's not blaming Caitlin at all. It's the crazy fans. And then I've seen a damn Outkick video calling her racist for pointing it out. It's mad. It is absolutely mad. And again, like I am a Irish man who talks about the sport of basketball. I've heard every insult under the sun. I've gotten more xenophobic abuse than 99.9% of the population. So I get it not that I get it. Obviously, I'll never fully get it. But, like, I know that people on the internet are idiots. So you just have to ignore the cesspit that is Twitter a lot of the time. And you have to, obviously, as far as YouTube comment section goes, you have to not even necessarily ignore it. Just, you can't let that stuff get to you. And it's clearly not getting to Carrington. She's just got Hall of Fame Twitter fingers. And as a person who has even more Hall of Fame Twitter fingers than Carrington, it's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, it is always just crazy to look at it. It's crazy to see the whole situation that's going on. And it's crazy because I saw, again, a video from not even, what is it? They're not even they pretend to be a sports channel. And what was it? Race-obsessed WNBA player targets Caitlin Clark. It's like, no. She literally pointed out what she had been called for doing exactly what Caitlin Clark had done. And then the next tweet said, it has nothing to do with Caitlin. Like, that's the truth of the matter. And the fact is that the Caitlin crazies are the reason why she is not... There's no chance of the perfect free agent to help propel the Fever. Like, if you manage to get a team with Carrington replacing Kelsey Mitchell, and you could get like a Satu at the 3, if that's where your max contracts went for Mitchell and Wheeler, if you could get something like those two who are within your budget, and you go out with Caitlin Clark, Carrington, Satu, Nalissa Smith, and Aaliyah Boston, that's not a championship winning team next year, but that's a team that in a year or two, if you can build any sort of bench around that, like, that's the best young core in the WNBA by so much. Like, if they could manage to do that. But there are certain players that won't play because of the Caitlin crazies, and unfortunately, it's very likely Carrington is one of them.